Hey, what's up, students? So this is going to be our last video in the series over exponents, exponential expressions, properties of exponents. Yeah, so this list of properties of exponents, you might want to refer to this here, this list of properties of exponents. You might want to come back to this several times to refer to those when you're working your problems and your homework. Yeah. All right, so we want to do a few more problems. Just a few more exercises. Here's problem number 5 here. I want to get done. Let's see, what we got? We got 4a b to the minus 6 power c to the minus 2 power. That's going to be the numerator of a fraction, and on the denominator we're going to have 48, a to the minus 3, b to the minus 2, and c to the 14th. So, situation is we have 4 components on the top. We have the coefficient 4, we have the a component, we have the b component, we have the c component. So I'm using those different colors. On the bottom we have the coefficient, which is 48. We have the green a component, we have the yellow b component, we have the red c component, c to the 14th right there. Now, is there some big exponent over the top or some big exponent over the bottom? No. So there's no distributing exponents here. So what I recommend we do, I recommend we begin with interactions between the top and the bottom immediately. So how about 4 over 48? So that's taking the coefficients and thinking of that as a fraction, 4 over 48. So can you reduce that fraction is the real question. Can we reduce it? Question is, yeah, right? You can divide something out of the top, something out of the bottom. What can you divide out of 4 and 48? Anything in common? What's the greatest common factor? Turns out 4. So we're going to divide 4 out of the top. Divide 4 out of the bottom. All right. So there I go. What's 4 divided by 4? It's going to be 1. So I'm going to write a 1 here on top and write a fraction bar. And on bottom, what's 48 divided by 4? Well, 48 divided by 4 is 12. So basically 4 over 48 is reducing here to 1 over 12. Now, we're going to go on to the a's. Understand that when you write just a, that's what? A to the 1. So using one of our properties, that's actually property number 2, we're going to subtract exponents. So we're going to write an a on top, and we're going to have what? 1, right? That's the exponent on top, minus the exponent on bottom is negative 3, right? 1 minus, so you take the top minus the bottom, right? So 1 minus negative 3. Remember when you have a double negative, it makes a plus? So this is actually 1 plus 3. All right, now we're going to go to the b components. B components. So I'm going to write down keep going with this fraction bar. I'm going to write down a b. I'm going to write the top exponent, negative 6, minus the bottom exponent, so minus negative 2. So we got negative 6 minus negative 2. Now when you have a double negative like that, a double negative 2 becomes a plus. So it's actually negative 6 plus 2. And finally, we're going to deal with the c components. C components. So we're going to write down c raised to the negative 2 minus, so you're going to take the top exponent, negative 2, minus the bottom exponent, which is 14. So it's negative 2 minus positive 14. So negative 2 minus 14. All right. We want to clean this up. So I'm going to go over here to the side. So I'm going to have my fraction bar. I'm going to write 1 on top, 12 on bottom. On top, I'm going to do the a exponents. So I'm going to take a. I'm going to write, what's 1 plus 3? 1 plus 3 is 4. So I'm going to have a to the 4th power. Then I'm going to go to my B, my yellow. component. I'm going to take negative 6 plus 2. What's negative 6 plus 2? Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. And finally, I'm going to do my c component. C. We're going to write c to the, what's negative 2 minus 14? What's negative 2 minus 14? Negative 2 minus 14 is negative 16. All right, so are we done? Are we done? The answer is no, we are not done, because we have negative exponents. In our instructions, we're to only have positive exponents. So we can write this as 1 a to the 4th, and a fraction bar. And on bottom, we're going to have a 12. And that yellow component, b to the negative 4th, we're going to take to the bottom because it has a negative exponent. We're going to make it b to the positive 4th. And for the red component, c to the negative 16th, because it has a negative exponent, we're going to take it to the bottom, make it c to the positive 16th. So you can write your answer that way. 1 a to the 4th over 12 b to the 4th, c to the 16th. But most people, they don't even bother writing that 1. They don't bother writing that 1. Most people, what they do, they just get rid of that 1 in front of the a to the 4th. They just erase it, right? Convention says you really don't need to write the 1. If you have a 1 coefficient, you don't need to write it. So having a to the 4th is just having 1 copy of a to the 4th. So we're going to write it like this. We're going to write a to the 4th on top, and on bottom, 12, b to the 4th, c to the 16th. All right, so let's do yet one more interesting complex example. How about a number 6? All right, here we go. This one is a little more complex than the others. How about 20 a to the 4th, c to the negative 3rd? That's going to be on top of a fraction. We're going to have a fraction bar, and on the bottom we're going to have, what, 16 a to the minus 3 b squared c squared. And then there's one more thing. There's going to be a big old parentheses around this entire fraction. That's going to be raised to the negative 2 power. Ooh, we haven't done anything like this yet. So what my recommendation is here, see this big old negative 2? This big old negative 2. Let's disregard that for now. Let's do that at the very end. Well, not the very end, but later down the road. So we're going to focus on what's in parentheses. Focus on what's in parentheses. I'm going to just leave this negative 2 in this fraction bar. All right, so we got how many components? We actually got 4 components in the parentheses. We have the coefficients, 20 here and 16. We have the a components, a to the 4th and a to the negative 3. We have a b component. We actually don't have a b component in the top, but we have one in the bottom, so we're just going to leave that red in the bottom. And we got the c components. What color will the c's be? Okay, I'll make the c's yellow. All right, so in our first step, what we're going to do, we're going to simplify. We're going to work on simplifying what's in the parentheses. So let's focus on the coefficients in blue. The coefficients in blue. So that's giving us a fraction 20 over 16. 20 over 16. Can you divide anything out of 20 and 16? 20 and 16. What goes into 20 and 16? What is the largest number you can think of that you can divide both 20 and 16 by? How about 4? You can divide out 4 out of those. Divide 4 out of the top, divide 4 out of the bottom. What's 20 divided by 4? 20 divided by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5, right? And on bottom, 16 divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we're going to reduce that. 20 over 16 reduces to 5 over 4. Yeah, 5/4, right? All right, now let's go to the green components. we have what? A to the 4th on top and a to the negative 3 on bottom. So we're going to take a, and we're going to do 4 minus the bottom exponent, negative 3. 4 minus negative 3. So that becomes a double negative. It's going to be a plus 3, right? So 4 plus 3. All right, then we're going to go on to, well, B's just going to stay where it is. It's going to stay on bottom. Don't mess with B. So we just leave B squared on bottom. All right. Right, there's no B on top to interact with, so we just leave B squared on bottom. Now, let's deal with the C's. So we have what? C to the minus 3 on top and C squared on bottom. So we're going to take C to the minus 3 minus the bottom exponent on C, which is 2. So we're going to take minus 3 minus 2 above the C. All right, now we're still leaving the negative 2 exponent alone. We'll deal with that eventually. Okay, so I'm going to copy down inside of the parentheses 5 over 4. Now let's figure out what A's exponent is. So A to the 4 plus 3, it's going to be A to the 7th. We said B squared stays on bottom. And the C situation, you're going to have what? Negative 3 minus 2. Negative 3 minus 2 is going to be minus 5. All right, so I haven't completely simplified the what's in parentheses. Let me do another step. What is not quite right inside of the parentheses? We have 5 over 4. We have A to the 7th. We have B squared on bottom. C to the negative 5. That negative 5, right? We don't want a negative 5 exponent. So what we're going to do, we're going to put that C to the minus 5. We're going to take it to the bottom and make it C to the positive 5. So we're going to keep the big parentheses. We're going to keep the big negative 2 exponent out there. We're going to keep the 5/4 in parentheses. We're going to keep the A to the 7th in the parentheses. We're going to keep the B squared on bottom. And C to the minus 5, because there's a minus exponent, we're going to take it to the bottom and make it C to the positive 5. All right, so we've simplified everything inside of the parentheses. Now, what happens when you have a big, old negative 2 exponent like that? Well, what we're going to do, we haven't used this property yet. This is one of the properties we haven't used. We're going to invoke property number 8. You see property number 8? Property number 8 says when you have a big old exponent like that outside of a fraction, you can flip the fraction, make the exponent positive. So what we're going to do, go here around town. Oh, I lost it. Okay, there it goes. See that big old negative 2 exponent? So what we're going to do, we're going to flip our fraction. Come on, please. And make it a positive exponent. So we're going to have on top now, we're going to have 4 B squared C to the 5th and 5 A to the 7th. So we're flipping our fraction, and then we're going to make the exponent a positive 2. So it was a negative 2, now it becomes a positive 2. All right, so you flip the fraction and change the sign on the big old exponent out there. Now what we're going to do, we're going to distribute that exponent to everything up top and everything on bottom. So that's using some of our properties. So here we go. We're going to take 4 squared B squared squared C to the 5th squared. So we're distributing our purple big old 2 exponent to everything in the top, and we're going to distribute to everything in the bottom. So on the bottom, we're going to have 5 squared A to the 7th squared. Well, this is using a couple properties. This is using the property, let's see, number 6 and number 5. Property 6 and 5. All right, so are we ready to do this? What happens when you take 4 squared, first of all? 4 squared is what? 4 times 4, that's 16. What happens when you take b squared squared? Well, you multiply those exponents, right? You get b to the 2 times 2, that's 4. What happens when you take c to the 5th squared? Well, you multiply 5 times 2, and you get the 10th power above the c. Let's see. 5 squared is going to be 25. And a to the 7th squared, well, you just multiply those exponents, you get a to the 14th. So there you have it. This is your final answer, completely simplified. 16b to the 4th, c to the 10th, over 25a to the 14th. You just see that from beginning to end. There we are.